Hello and welcome back to another episode of Strong Collectors Comics. My name is Jordan, and I'm joined today, as ever, by my plucky co-host / sidekick, Dakota. And today we're getting an update on a question, Dakota, that's been on my mind for about 3 years, and it's where in the world is Shang-Chi? Now, setting the clocks back, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings came out in 2021. Personally, I was a big fan, and I've been wondering why we haven't seen or heard from him since then. And we got a little bit of an update recently. Well, rumor update, maybe. Probably true.
I don't know how credible it is. It seems credible. It came with the it says Marvel in the profile name.
Right.
So
Yeah. Well, this could be a side discussion, Dakota, because there have been, really since No Way Home, a whole ton of leaks coming out of Marvel for movies. And they recently talked about going after, taking legal action against some of the leakers. So I do think there's something to that, because in No Way Home, of course, a lot of those were leaked. I think we've gotten a lot of plot details from Doctor Strange and some other movies as we've moved along at different times. So all that to say, there's finally an update, it sounds like, hopefully, on them moving forward, which has been basically confirmed that they were going to do a sequel to that. Yeah. It's just, when is it going to happen, right? So from what it sounds like, they would be wanting to move ahead with that and then incorporate some other characters in more of an Agents of Atlas capacity.
Yeah, so I can read you the headline that I saw. But then I do want to circle back to the thoughts of leakers and how troubling that is, because I got some thoughts on that. So maybe we'll circle back to that at the end. But this update comes from, the profile is Marvel Updates, and it says the filming for Shang-Chi 2 will begin in March of 2025 and last until July of 2025. Shang-Chi will have a new suit, and the 10 rings will give him new abilities. The members of the Agent of Atlas will be Shang-Chi, Katie Chen, Iron Fist, Arrow, Wave, White Fox, and Swordmaster. So from those, I mean, we know Shang-Chi and Katie. Iron Fist is going to be the same Iron Fist from the Netflix shows.
You think it would be, though?
Why wouldn't it be? Haven't they said that they're bringing all those guys in?
I don't know if they've agreed to bring him along.
Really?
Because his show was a bit of a stinker, personally, for me.
But is that his fault?
And I think most people... No, but I'm just saying, I think there was the critical acclaim behind Daredevil. Yeah. For them, it was enough for them to pull them over. I don't quite know if Iron Fist will get the same treatment.
I know I've seen,
to be seen.
We know Daredevil's coming. We've already seen him. They've said Punisher, right? And they've said...
Punisher, Daredevil, they're bringing back Kingpin, Vincent D'Onofrio, of course.
Right. And then also Jessica Jones, right? I thought I just saw an update with her with kind of the jewel.
I don't think that's been confirmed.
Okay, so maybe that's just more leaks that I was seeing.
Maybe.
No? Maybe?
That's what I'm saying. That's why Marvel's we got to do something about these. I don't know. Okay. Yeah, it's hard to say exactly everything they're going to bring over from the Netflix stuff, because originally Born Again, it was more of a reboot. Now it seems like it's more of a continuation. So, still to be determined.
Because didn't they say that all those Netflix things are now canon?
I think, at least with Daredevil, I'd have to look to see if they're saying the entirety. Okay, it's a little.
That's a multiverse.
That's why I almost wonder if it's too much of a can of worms to open. Right, exactly.
Okay,
that's the difficult part of it, right?
Okay. I mean, I guess I'm not so attached.
I don't even know if they're going to say Well, the tricky thing is they could say, "Oh, it's canon to the multiverse," but these are variants of that alternate reality, so we can still use the same actors, but it's not necessarily the same universe. Right. So I guess you could then have Iron Fist say it's the same guy, just another version. I don't know. Okay. But I have heard rumors for a while that they would probably be wanting to incorporate some more characters into Iron Fist and maybe going an Agents of Atlas type route, just because Shang-Chi, that was a more recent version of Agents of Atlas. You know, Dakota, I love my old school Agents of Atlas with Gorilla Man and Robot. But I'm probably never going to see that in live action. So I would I would actually be excited if this sequel was more of like a martial arts, like elite team. I think would actually be pretty sweet.
That
a
seems
cool
to
idea
be
to like bring those together.
That seems to be, because I don't know how hip you are to these characters of like Arrow and Wave, White Fox. But I did have to do some Wikipedia searching myself because I wasn't exactly sure on who they all were. Arrow seems like there's like airbending ability. They're not going to call it airbending, but essentially Arrow is an airbender. And
He's
then
airbending.
Yeah, Wave is a waterbender. White Fox is let me just read you the Wikipedia. She can turn into, I don't know how to say it, but like a nine-tailed fox. That kind of seemed like very Naruto to me. She also possesses superhuman strength, speed, agility, durability, stamina, and senses. She can also talk to animals. She can absorb other people's energy to rehabilitate her own power. And then she can control other beings with her voice. I don't know if that means animals or people. I would assume more animals. And then she's also a skilled hand-to-hand fighter. So that kind of seems like everybody on the team is going to be very hand-to-hand. So I think we're definitely going to be seeing the kind of martial arts type movie here.
Yeah. I think, and then of course if you had Iron Fist, I think that would be super cool way to weave him into, because I don't really see Iron Fist, as much as I love him, getting his own movie. I don't even know if they'd go with a TV show at this point. But I think at least having him show up in other projects would be cool. And you could even have him established. Like I've heard whether they do Danny Rand, or I know there was the female Iron Fist from more recent comics. I've heard, I don't know if that's more speculation, if they would do that or not. But kind of even just having that character like established, and it's like just coming from Kunlun to face some threat. You know, you don't need to, I don't think, see the whole backstory at that point. And you can reference it. But I would be super excited because I really will say, Dakota, I don't even think it's a hot take to say Shang-Chi is in my top 3 post-Endgame films. I don't know where you are with that. I was thinking about this today because I would probably say Shang-Chi, No Way Home.
Yeah, for sure.
And honestly, dude, this is probably a hot take that we could do a whole video on, but I'm going to say the Eternals.
That would be.
I know everyone hated on the Eternals, and just I think we should do a video on why the nerds were so cruel and unkind to Eternals, because I really don't think we realized even back then how good we had it, because we saw that together. Yeah. And I hearing all the chatter, everyone's like, "This is the worst thing to happen to the MCU." It's like, what are you talking about? Like,
right.
I thought it was creative. It introduced, and that's why I like Shang-Chi, because it was like a whole new thing. Like, you didn't need, like, even with No Way Home, I liked it, but if you weren't a big Spidey fan or a fan of the old ones, it's probably like, how good of a standalone movie is it? If that, like, on its own merit.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Am I making sense with that?
For sure. I think my problem with Eternals is that it kind of seemed to like, probably number one is nobody's mentioned this giant celestial coming up out of the ocean since then. So I would hope that we see that again at some point, just because that seems like one of those giant world-ending events that's like, oh, the Avengers were just taking a nap during that time, and they were off. They were like, we just fought Thanos. Somebody else take care of the celestial coming up out of the ocean.
Right.
So
yeah,
that seems like way too big of a thing to be going on. But, you know how I hate my world-ending events if it's not like a giant movie like Endgame.
But I would say I think the MCU took a step back from Eternals because of the reaction to it. Because everyone was like, this is hot garbage. So they were like, we're going to put that on pause. Which really, I don't know, man. I mean, I think seeing a lot of the movies since that one, pretty sharp decline, that I'd much rather watch the Eternals, personally.
I think
they should have made the Eternals. Okay.
I
this is going to be a hot take episode.
I thought that the Marvels was fine. I think everybody hated on Marvels, but I didn't think it was nearly as bad as people were making it out to be. I thought it was a fine movie.
I would agree with that too.
Like a ton really to shape the universe or anything, but it's, those 3 characters, we got to see more of them, and I thought it was a fun movie. not groundbreaking, but I think
I would agree with that.
I think people it went like, you know, up to Endgame, and then we can't just keep going up from Endgame. We've got to kind of reestablish things, bring it back down, chill out for a little bit, let it simmer, let them cook. People are not a fan of letting them cook.
Right. Yeah, and then even the, like, for me, the big, like, hitter ones of, like, Doctor Strange, I remember wanting to like it. Really not as good as I think I hoped it was. Thor, rough. Ant-Man, rough. So it's like, I guess, even Guardians 3, I did enjoy it, but it was kind of like James Gunn was, like, on his way out. Like, I'm going to DC, but here's one last little nugget for you guys, I guess. And I don't know. Like, so for Shang-Chi, I thought it was so cool because it was a new character, like a new world. Fight scenes were awesome. Cool characters. Like, for me, it was like a classic MCU film, like what those felt like when you were first meeting, like for the general audience, like Thor or Iron Man or Cap. Like, it's a whole new thing. And I thought that was really neat. So it's been weird to me that they haven't returned or even really mentioned him for 3 years. Like, I feel like there should be a Shang-Chi movie coming out either this year or next year. So that's kind of was a strange decision from my perspective.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we would see him in some sort of like post-credit scene, but even that, like, what's going to come out before then that he would really tie well into? Maybe the Daredevil stuff, because that's still kind of street level, hand-to-hand type of.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't know. Let me circle back to the leaks and stuff, because I question whether that's bad for the movies or good for the movies, because of course I would like with No Way Home, I think it was good that they tried to keep it under wraps, so that we had all those Spider-Man comings, and it was just kind of, you know, there was like, oh, maybe this is what's going to happen. Everybody thinks it is, but we don't have like confirmed shots of everybody. And then you got to see that in theaters. But then I think like they seem really worked up about the new Deadpool movie, and there's like too much coming out of that, where they showed Wolverine in the yellow suit, which I don't think took anything away from the movie. I don't think.
Well, they put that out though as a promo shot to be like, here's him in his yellow suit,
right?
And we haven't seen him in the trailers with his mask, but that's been all like the merchandise. So yeah, I would think we should do an episode on the nature of like leakers and scoopers, like, and what that is like for comics in general, or because I do think that has become much more prominent. I don't remember seeing nearly as many of those,
for sure.
Really, even in the like Endgame era.
I think but
I feel like that happens a lot.
I do think it's a problem is with X-Men 97. And it's like Disney themselves is like, the show comes out and then 2 hours later they're like, oh, look at this, like we just killed Wolverine, which is like, I don't think has happened yet, but you know, maybe this next episode I'll be wrong, but they just like show off these crazy, like the like peak of what you would be excited to see on screen. It's like, oh, here's this character, and you're like, okay, well, that would have been cool for me to see when I watch it, but give me an hour to go see it before you put it out there. So it just seems weird that they're so like, oh no, don't show anything until the movie comes out and then show it instantly. You know, it just seems a little hypocritical. I don't know, but it just seems like now everybody's got a race to get their you know, reacting to the climax of the last episode, and it's given away in the thumbnail or the article title or whatever. So that I have a problem with. If you're just leaking like, oh, here's Shang-Chi's outfit that he's going to wear, I don't care. It's not going to make or break the movie for me, really. I might get more excited, be like, oh yeah, classic thing, cool. But it's not like giving me away the plot or something. So
yeah, and I think little things like this, like Shang-Chi, we don't even know if this is true, but I think it's kind of fun to be like, whether or not this is true, would you like to see this as the follow-up? Or like, what could this kind of get you to start thinking about? For me, I don't mind that stuff. But even then, with a lot of those leaks, it's like just... With what you're saying, that's different to me than like on Reddit, the plot of, you know, The Flash got leaked online or something. Like, you can choose not to read that.
Sure.
If you don't want to. So, I do think there's differences, but I think the longer they wait between projects, the more people just want to hear that, because it's like, I want to hear something. So, I think hopefully, and that's could be another thing, is I know they've talked about even acknowledging sort of the misfire of some of their output, some of the quality from like Kevin Feige and Marvel people. So I do think they're probably recalibrating, and part of that is maybe like, okay, we want to make these more like special events. We want to have like an end game, those moments where you're like, dude, I did not know that was going to happen. Like, that blew my mind type stuff. So I guess all that to say, I think this would be a cool direction for Shang-Chi. I think they definitely need to bring it back for sure. And I hope that they are rolling on that soon. Because the director for that was going to do Kang Dynasty, now Avengers 5, and then he dropped. So I think they're wondering if that's going to be his next project, if he's doing a Shang-Chi instead. We don't know. But I certainly hope they move forward with that character. Because I think that would be a cool piece to have, at least even in the next Avengers films, for sure.
I agree.
Those are some of our thoughts on this potential Shang-Chi plot, as well as some other threads about the MCU. Let us know below. Would you like to see that as a future Shang-Chi story? Or respond to any of these thoughts that we've had about the MCU at large, because we love to hear about them and to speculate, and you're going to be hearing more and more of that if you're listening to this channel. So go ahead and subscribe and comment. Be liking and sharing. And as always, until next time, stay strong.